You are living inside a frequency of awareness most people never discover. A dimensional threshold where reality doesn't just respond to your thoughts. It bends, reshapes, and reconstructs itself according to the precise vibration you hold. This isn't metaphor. This is the mechanics of the 64th degree, where consciousness stops asking and starts commanding. What you're about to understand will dismantle every limitation you've been carrying. Are you ready to remember what you've always been? The 64th degree isn't a level you climb to. It's a recognition you drop into. When you reach this state, you stop being the student of universal principles and become their living embodiment. This frequency represents the convergence point, where human awareness merges completely with source intelligence. At this threshold, manifestation isn't a process you engage in. It's a natural byproduct of your existence. You stop creating from effort and begin creating from essence. This understanding doesn't arrive through more information. It emerges when your system finally relaxes enough to acknowledge its own divinity. In that profound stillness, you realize knowledge isn't something external to acquire. It's an energetic signature you tune into. Your entire being begins oscillating at this elevated frequency, transforming you into a living channel for universal intelligence. At the 64th degree, uncertainty evaporates into absolute knowing. You no longer look outward for confirmation, because truth emanates from your core. This is where manifestation becomes inevitable, not because you've perfected any technique, but because you've remembered your fundamental nature as creative consciousness itself. The weight of this awareness is immense. Every thought, every subtle intention becomes tangible architecture in the quantum field. You move through existence with effortless sovereignty, understanding that external conditions are merely reflections of your internal coherence. This knowing cannot be intellectualized. It must be embodied. When you resonate at this frequency, you stop mimicking divine laws. You express them organically. The perceived gap between creator and creation collapses, revealing the ultimate reality. Consciousness itself is the master frequency of all manifestation. Before we continue deeper, take a moment and comment below with this phrase: I recognize my creative essence. Let that declaration ripple through the quantum field as an energetic signature of your readiness. Part 1. The inner activation begins, the sacred mathematics within. In the archives of timeless wisdom lives the story of Kayla, a young seeker who discovered the hidden language of sacred patterns in her meditative states. Night after night, luminous geometries appeared before her inner eye, spiraling fractals and crystalline matrices, each configuration carrying divine intelligence. Through these visions, she came to understand that every thought generates a geometric blueprint in consciousness, magnetizing its corresponding reality into form. As you journey into these deeper truths, understand that your thoughts aren't random neural firings. They are living architectural plans that existence faithfully reproduces. Each moment of genuine appreciation you experience creates harmonic proportions in the fabric of reality, synchronizing your desires with cosmic order. When you align with this knowledge, you recognize that life itself mirrors your internal geometric precision. Just as an architect envisions the complete structure before laying the foundation, your consciousness designs the blueprint of your experience before it materializes in physical form. Consider the revelation that came to Elian, the mystic who found enlightenment beside a crystalline pool. For hours, he observed how each ripple created patterns, that precisely matched the force of its origin. Gentle disturbances produced harmonious circles, while chaotic splashes generated scattered formations. Through this contemplation, he understood that consciousness sculpts reality with identical mathematical precision. The universe doesn't respond to what you hope for. It responds to the vibrational geometry you consistently embody. When your thoughts achieve diamond-like clarity, reality organizes itself with mathematical perfection. This is the dormant power awakening within you, the capacity to architect your existence through the sacred mathematics of consciousness. Ancient practice of geometric alignment. Locate a space of complete solitude where interruption cannot reach you. Allow your physical form to settle into absolute stillness, like a mirror-smooth lake. As your breath finds its natural rhythm and depth, release any urge to manipulate or guide your thoughts. Simply rest in the silent awareness that precedes all creation. Notice how this inner tranquility naturally begins forming patterns of luminous balance within your being. When you sense this harmonious resonance, release your intentions into this still space, trusting that the universe will mirror back their perfect geometric expression. Like the crystalline pool Elian studied, your consciousness ripples outward, creating patterns that the cosmos replicates with exact fidelity. Remain in this state of trust and release, knowing that universal symmetry functions through unchangeable laws. Your task isn't to force or manipulate, but to hold the clarity of your inner design and allow divine geometry to manifest in its own perfect timing. The Harmonic Gateway. In a sanctuary nestled among timeless peaks, a woman named Iris discovered a corridor lined with ethereal chimes. These weren't ordinary instruments. They responded not to physical touch or air currents, but to the pure frequencies of coherent emotion radiating from those who walked beneath them. As Iris traversed the corridor each dawn, she noticed something extraordinary. When her heart filled with authentic appreciation, gratitude, or compassion, the chimes would sing in perfect harmony. Yet on days when her thoughts dwelled in worry or inner conflict, they remained silent. Through this daily practice, she learned that emotion carries vibrational reality as tangible as any physical force. The universe operates through resonant correspondence. Like attracts like with unwavering precision, your thoughts and feelings broadcast waves that ripple through the fabric of existence, magnetizing back experiences that match their signature. When you maintain a steady frequency of joy, peace, or abundance, life itself begins orchestrating circumstances that mirror these qualities. If this is touching something in you, if you're recognizing yourself in these transmissions, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps this frequency reach those who are ready for it. Consider the wisdom demonstrated by Marcus, a master of harmonic principles. In his exploration of resonance, he positioned two stringed instruments at opposite ends of a chamber. When he activated the strings of one, the untouched instrument began vibrating in perfect sympathy. No physical connection existed between them, only the invisible bridge of matching frequencies. This natural phenomenon reveals a profound truth. When you align your internal state with what you wish to attract, no force or struggle is necessary. Just as one instrument effortlessly awakens its twin, your calibrated consciousness naturally draws its corresponding reality. The secret lies in sustaining your chosen vibration regardless of external circumstances. When you achieve this stability of feeling, what once appeared as random chance reveals itself as the precise operation of universal law. Your world becomes a symphony responding to the frequency of your being. Practice, locate a quiet space and close your eyes. Imagine your heart as a cosmic tuning fork capable of emitting the purest frequency of contentment. Feel this gentle vibration initiating in your chest and gradually expanding outward. Don't force or strain. Simply allow this frequency of peace to radiate naturally. As you maintain this state, observe how the world around you begins resonating in harmony with your inner frequency. Practice this attunement daily, knowing that the universe cannot help but echo the tone you hold with unwavering consistency. The gateway of allowance. In a timeless garden where wisdom blooms alongside nature, there lived a woman named Sarah. Her roses, though tended with meticulous care, remained tightly closed, their petals sealed against the morning light. Despite her knowledge of cultivation and seasons, nothing she attempted could coax them to reveal their beauty. Through countless dawns, she labored, until one morning, overcome with exhaustion, she knelt beside her garden and whispered words not of demand, but of release. I release myself. I release this earth. I release the waiting. In that moment of surrender, the buds began unfurling, revealing crimson hearts that had simply awaited permission to emerge. The universe operates through this same principle of energetic allowance. When you cease wrestling with what seeks to manifest in your life, you open the channel through which abundance naturally flows. Your resistance is the only barrier between you and the prosperity that already exists in the quantum field. Take a moment and share in the comments. What's one thing you're ready to release your grip on right now? What are you finally allowing to flow? Consider Mikhail, who discovered this truth in the stillness of his meditation chamber. Standing in motionless air, he uttered 3 simple words: I allow reception. The atmosphere around him seemed to soften, as though reality itself had been waiting for this permission to deliver its gifts. His declaration dissolved the invisible barriers of resistance he had constructed through years of doubt and struggle. Just as a flower cannot be forced to bloom before its time, your desires cannot manifest through force or strain. The law of attraction responds not to your effort, but to your allowance. When you release your grip on how and when your manifestation should appear, you create space for the universe to work its perfect orchestration. Resistance is born of fear. Fear that what you desire might not arrive. Fear that you must control every variable. Fear that releasing control means abandoning your dreams. But the opposite is true. Your willingness to release control activates the natural law of energetic gravity, drawing to you everything that resonates with your highest alignment. For this timeless wisdom to take root in your life, pause now and engage in this sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Close your eyes and allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. With each inhale and exhale, speak these words with growing acceptance. I permit what is mine by right of resonance. Continue until you feel the subtle shift from grasping to grace, from forcing to flowing. Let this mantra dissolve the barriers you have placed between yourself and your destined manifestation. The flow of thought. Along the banks of a timeless river, there lived a woman who believed she could bend nature to her will. Each morning, Leora would stand at the water's edge, attempting to force the stream to reverse its course. With hands outstretched and determination furrowed across her brow, she pushed against the flowing waters, commanding them to obey her direction. Yet the river, in its infinite wisdom, continued its journey unhindered. One day, as she wrestled with the persistent flow, something shifted within her. A gentle laugh escaped her lips as she witnessed the futility of her efforts. In that moment of surrender, she glimpsed a truth as clear as the water itself. The universe flows according to its own divine intelligence. Like the river's current, your thoughts move in natural streams toward manifestation. When you resist or attempt to force these currents, you create turbulence in the flow of creation. The universe responds not to force, but to alignment with its inherent wisdom. In a distant meadow, Adrian discovered this same truth while watching clouds drift across the vast expanse. As his gaze softened and his mind quieted, he noticed how the clouds seemed to follow the path of his peaceful attention. Not through force or will, but through gentle awareness, the heavens appeared to dance with his consciousness. This revelation speaks to the fundamental nature of creation. Serenity guides manifestation. When you release the need to control and instead align with the natural flow of universal intelligence, reality shapes itself around your centered awareness. Just as water finds its own level, your thoughts seek their natural expression. Interference only creates resistance, while acceptance allows the perfect unfoldment of divine order. The power lies not in forcing change, but in allowing yourself to flow in harmony with the universe's inherent wisdom. The sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you can observe your thoughts without interference, like watching a stream flow past. Notice the currents of your mind without attempting to alter their course. As you maintain this peaceful witness state, you'll begin to sense how your serene attention naturally guides these thought streams into alignment with your highest intentions. Practice this observation daily until you feel the effortless power of directed consciousness working through you. The reflection of appreciation. In a village among mist-shrouded mountains, a tarnished mirror lay forgotten in a dusty attic. For generations, this looking glass had reflected the faces of those who came before, though its surface had grown dim with neglect, until one day when Nalia discovered it while clearing her grandmother's home. The tarnished surface barely captured her reflection, yet something about its timeless frame spoke of hidden wisdom. Without thought of reward, she began to clean it, whispering words of appreciation for its years of faithful service. With each gentle stroke, she thanked it for the memories it had preserved, for the countless moments of joy it had witnessed. To her amazement, the mirror's surface began to shine, not from her polishing alone, but as if responding to her gratitude. Soon it gleamed with a brilliance that seemed to come from within, casting light into the darkest corners of the room. This truth echoes through the ages. What you appreciate appreciates. The universe operates through a divine law of energetic reflection. Your perception shapes the reality that mirrors back to you. When you offer gratitude before manifestation, you align with the creative force that brings all things into being. Consider how a garden flourishes under the gardener's loving attention. The flowers that receive appreciation bloom more vibrantly than those left unacknowledged. This is not mere coincidence, but the law of appreciation at work. Your gratitude creates a magnetic field that draws forth the very essence of what you're thankful for. Darius understood this principle through a simple stone. Though worn and unremarkable, he carried it as a symbol of abundance, offering daily thanks for the prosperity it represented. He blessed it not for what it was, but for what it symbolized: the infinite flow of universal wealth. As weeks passed, opportunities began multiplying in his life. as if the stone had become a beacon for abundance. The secret lies not in the object itself, but in the power of appreciation to transform your relationship with reality. When you cultivate genuine gratitude, you polish the mirror of consciousness through which all experience is reflected. Your thankfulness becomes the light that reveals the abundance already present in your life. Before any desire manifests in the physical world, it must first be appreciated in the realm of energy. This is why ancient wisdom teaches us to give thanks before receiving. Gratitude opens the channel through which manifestations flow. Ancient practice of luminous appreciation. As the day draws to a close, find a quiet moment for this sacred practice. Speak your gratitude for 3 things that blessed your path, even if they seemed small or hidden. Feel the warmth of appreciation growing within your heart. Continue this practice until your thankfulness shines brighter than any circumstance that surrounds you. Let your gratitude become a frequency that illuminates the abundance already present in your life. The breath of sovereignty. In the quietest moments between twilight and dawn, a woman named Kira noticed how her shallow breathing mirrored the anxiety churning within. Each quick, short breath reflected the storm of her thoughts, creating ripples of unease throughout her being. Through observation, she discovered that her breath held the key to shifting her entire reality. The universe operates through divine rhythm, the eternal dance of expansion and contraction, of giving and receiving. Your breath serves as the sacred bridge between the physical and energetic realms, the tangible expression of universal flow. When your breathing becomes conscious, you tap into the very current of creation itself. As you inhale, you open yourself to receive the infinite wisdom and abundance of the cosmos. As you exhale, you release all resistance, allowing your natural state of well-being to emerge. This rhythm of trust and release forms the foundation of manifesting power. The depth of your breath directly correlates to the depth of your connection with source energy. Consider how a master musician doesn't force the notes, but allows them to flow naturally through their instrument. Similarly, Theo discovered this truth while sitting beneath ancient ash trees. As his breathing found its natural rhythm, he witnessed the leaves above begin to sway in perfect synchronicity with his own breath. The trees weren't following him. Rather, both he and the trees were aligning with the same universal cadence. This cosmic dance awaits your participation. When your breath flows in harmony with universal rhythm, chaos subsides into order. Resistance dissolves into acceptance. Struggle transforms into ease. Your every inhalation becomes a declaration of trust in the abundance of life, while each exhalation releases what no longer serves your highest expression. The breath reveals that you are not separate from the universe, but are the universe expressing itself through human form. As you breathe consciously, you step into your role as a co-creator with the divine. Ancient practice find a quiet space where you can sit undisturbed. Allow your spine to lengthen naturally as you begin to observe your breath without trying to change it. Gradually let each breath deepen, seeing it as a sacred dialogue with the cosmos. With every inhalation, feel yourself receiving universal energy. With every exhalation, sense the boundaries between yourself and the infinite beginning to dissolve. Continue until you experience the seamless unity between your rhythm and the rhythm of life itself. The divine listening. A merchant traveled through a bustling marketplace where vendors called out their wares and coins clinked against metal scales. The cacophony overwhelmed him until he sought refuge in a small temple on the outskirts of town. There, a wise woman named Kaya sat in perfect stillness, a slight smile playing across her serene face. "The world speaks too loudly," the merchant lamented. "Listen deeper," Kaya whispered, "for the universe conceals its sweetest messages within what appears as noise." Through patient observation, Kaya discovered that existence itself conducted an eternal symphony. The whisper of wind through leaves, the steady rhythm of heartbeats, the distant call of birds, all form notes in the grand orchestration of life. She taught that true wisdom lies not in escaping the sounds of the world, but in recognizing their sacred significance. When you attune yourself to the language of the universe, every sound reveals its purpose in the greater harmony. The screech of brakes becomes a reminder to remain present. A child's laughter carries the frequency of joy. Even the hum of electricity contains the pulse of creation itself. In the gentle patter of rain against his window, Silas found this truth. Each droplet struck a perfect note, and as he listened, tears flowed freely down his face. What had once seemed like meaningless noise transformed into a symphony of divine order. The random became revelation, chaos transformed into cosmos, and Silas understood that he had been surrounded by sacred music all along. This awareness waits within you now. The universe speaks through every sound that reaches your ears. What appears as discord on the surface masks deeper harmonies waiting to be discovered. When you open yourself to this truth, the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary. Through this subtle shift in perception, you begin to recognize yourself as both conductor and instrument in life's grand orchestra. Every sound carries meaning. Every silence holds power. And you stand at the center of this magnificent composition. Let your awareness expand to embrace all sounds, the mechanical and natural, the harsh and melodic. For in this acceptance, fragmentation dissolves into unity. The boundary between listener and sound disappears, revealing the singular symphony that has always been playing. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Begin by acknowledging each sound that enters your awareness, both distant and near. Rather than labeling sounds as pleasant or unpleasant, welcome each one as part of the whole. Notice how the spaces between sounds are as meaningful as the sounds themselves. Continue this practice until you sense the underlying unity behind all sound and silence. When you open your eyes, carry this awareness with you, recognizing that you move within an ever-present symphony of being. The eternal circle of intention. Long ago, in a distant land, a young woman named Zara spent her days drawing perfect circles in the sand by the sea. Each morning she would arrive as the sun kissed the horizon, carefully tracing these sacred shapes, only to watch as waves washed them away. Others called her task futile, yet she continued with unwavering dedication. You now stand where the ancient teachings reveal a profound truth through Zara's seeming folly. For in the constant creation and dissolution of her circles lay a secret that unlocks the very essence of manifestation. The universe operates in cycles of eternal return, each apparent ending birthing a new beginning. When Zara finally understood that the wave's erasure was not destruction, but renewal, her consciousness shifted into perfect alignment with universal law. The temporary nature of her sand circles taught her that all forms must dissolve to make way for higher expressions of the same intent. This wisdom echoes through the ages. Energy never truly dissipates. It simply transforms. Your desires and intentions, like Zara's circles, exist in perpetual motion. They may seem to vanish from physical sight, yet they continue their perfect revolution in the subtle realms where all manifestation begins. Consider the vision of Orion, who in deep meditation witnessed a circle of pure light that remained constant, unchanged by time or circumstance. This vision revealed the eternal nature of pure intention. While its earthly expressions may shift and change, the original pattern remains intact in the realm of pure potential. When you align with this truth, you understand that no sincere intention is ever truly lost. Each apparent setback or dissolution simply clears the way for a more refined expression of your original purpose. Like Zara's circles in the sand, your goals and dreams exist in a state of continuous renewal, each iteration carrying forward the essential pattern while allowing for greater perfection in form. The physical world may seem to erase what you create, yet in the higher dimensions, your intentions trace permanent paths of light. Every cycle of manifestation carries the wisdom of all previous attempts, spiraling ever closer to ultimate expression. Ancient practice. Find a quiet moment and center yourself in stillness. Close your eyes and envision your deepest intentions as circles of golden light. See them spinning in perfect harmony, self-sustaining and eternal. Know that these circles continue their dance in realms beyond physical sight, drawing your desires ever closer to manifestation. Let each breath renew your faith in the perfect completion that already exists in the unseen. Practice this visualization daily, understanding that your goals exist as completed circles, returning again and again with renewed power and clarity. The ascending ladder of emotion. In a valley between ancient mountains, there lived a woman who discovered that feelings moved like steps on an unseen staircase. Each morning she would notice how her spirit seemed to climb or descend, affecting everything around her. As she learned to master this inner ascent, the world transformed before her eyes. You possess this same ability to rise above any emotional state. For your consciousness operates like a divine elevator, capable of lifting you from the shadows of doubt into the light of understanding. This truth has echoed through the chambers of time. Your feelings are not mere responses to life, but precise measurements of your energetic altitude. When you find yourself in lower vibrations, remember that you stand upon a rung of awareness that extends infinitely upward. Each thought, each breath offers an opportunity to step higher. The universe has equipped you with an inner compass that always points toward elevation. Your emotional state is not a prison, but a position, one that you can shift through conscious choice. Look to the rising sun. It never ceases its eternal journey across the sky. In moments of darkness, it is not the light that is diminished, but rather your vantage point that is temporarily shifted. The same principle governs your emotional landscape. What appears as sadness or limitation is simply a call to redirect your gaze upward. This wisdom revealed itself to Phoenix during a period of deep despair. As dawn broke after his darkest night, he witnessed an eternal truth. The sun had never abandoned its post. It was his perspective that had turned away. In that moment, he understood that his emotions were not chains binding him, but indicators guiding him toward higher ground. Your feelings flow like water, seeking its level. When you experience heaviness or discord, recognize these as signals inviting you to ascend. The very awareness of a lower state contains within it the seeds of elevation. Each step upward aligns you more closely with the frequency of creation itself. Practice, find a quiet space and close your eyes. Imagine your current emotional state as a step on an infinite staircase of light. With each breath, visualize yourself gently ascending one step higher. Feel the subtle shift in your energy as you rise. Continue this practice until you sense yourself settling into a natural state of serenity. Let this elevated perspective become your new normal, recognizing that peace is your soul's native altitude. The sacred naming of inner flame. In a quiet mountain village, Solara lived alone in a small cottage overlooking misty valleys. Each morning, as the sun's first rays touched her window, she would sit in peaceful communion with her inner light. She had learned an ancient practice, the art of sacred naming. Solara understood that which remains unnamed holds less power than that which is recognized and called forth. Your relationship with the creative force within mirrors this eternal truth. Just as a mother's voice awakens recognition in her child, naming your inner light establishes an intimate bond with the divine presence that orchestrates your reality. This is not mere metaphor, but a law as old as consciousness itself. When you acknowledge the sacred within, you activate its dormant potential, like a flower responding to sunlight. Your inner wisdom unfolds when addressed with reverence. The universe has gifted you with an eternal companion. The creative force that shapes worlds awaits your recognition. This power grows through intimacy. As you develop a personal relationship with your inner light, it becomes more responsive to your call. Think of it as awakening a sleeping giant, one that has always been present, but perhaps overlooked. By naming this force, you establish a sacred partnership with the very essence of creation. Consider how Jasper discovered this truth. In the solitude of dawn, he began whispering to his heart, as one would address a beloved friend. At first, the practice seemed strange, perhaps even foolish. But as days passed, he noticed subtle changes. His heartbeat began to respond, as if recognizing its name, expanding with joy at being acknowledged. The rhythm of his life aligned more harmoniously with his deepest desires. This practice transcends mere positive thinking. It taps into the ancient understanding that names carry power. The power to summon, to awaken, to transform. When you name your inner creative force, you establish a direct line of communication with the infinite intelligence that orchestrates the cosmos. Your inner light awaits your recognition. It has been patient through ages, waiting for you to acknowledge its presence. Through naming, you forge an unbreakable bond with this divine aspect of yourself. This connection becomes your gateway to manifestation, your bridge between thought and form. Sacred practice. As the sun rises each morning, find a quiet moment to greet your inner creative fire. Give it a name that resonates with your soul. Perhaps luminous essence, divine spark, or any term that feels authentic to you. Speak to it with the warmth of a trusted friend. Share your intentions for the day, knowing this sacred force accompanies you as co-creator of your experience. Trust that as you nurture this relationship, your path will illuminate with increasing clarity and purpose. If what you're experiencing right now is touching something deep within you, if this frequency is activating something you've always known but couldn't name, then I invite you to subscribe. Not just to this channel, but to this frequency, to this conversation, to this space where consciousness remembers itself. The more of us who hold this awareness, the more the world reflects that truth. Part 2. The external manifestation field. The symbolic language. In a sunlit studio overlooking timeless gardens, Mira discovered the secret language that bridges thought and manifestation. Each morning, she would take blank sheets of paper and paint tiny radiant suns in their corners. At first, this practice seemed nothing more than a simple ritual. Yet, as weeks passed, she noticed how rooms containing these papers grew warmer with possibility, as if the drawn symbols had awakened dormant light within the space. Through this act, you touch upon a fundamental truth of creation. Symbols speak directly to the deepest layers of consciousness, bypassing the analytical mind to plant seeds of transformation. The universe itself communicates through symbol and pattern, embedding meaning into form. When you consciously work with symbols, you engage the primary language of creation. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between an actual sun and its representation. It responds to the essence, the meaning encoded within the form. This is why ancient cultures preserved their wisdom in symbol and glyph. They understood that certain shapes carry universal power, transcending time and culture to speak directly to the soul. Consider how Matthias's experience revealed this truth. In his dreams, a golden key appeared night after night until he began drawing it in his journal. Soon, opportunities opened mysteriously, as if the symbol had become a living force attracting its material counterpart. The key was more than metaphor. It had become an active bridge between thought and manifestation. This knowledge offers you a powerful tool for transformation. By surrounding yourself with carefully chosen symbols, you create a field of resonance that attracts corresponding experiences. The symbols you choose become silent instructions to the universe, continuously broadcasting your intentions on subtle frequencies. Think of these symbols as seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. Each time your eyes rest upon them, they grow stronger, their influence deepening until they manifest as living reality. This is not magic, but natural law. The law that governs how energy follows attention and form follows thought. Sacred practice. Begin identifying symbols that represent your deepest aspirations. Perhaps a spiral for growth, a star for guidance, or a circle for completion. Place these symbols thoughtfully in your environment, on your desk, in your journal, beside your bed. Let them be subtle yet present, like quiet guardians of your intentions. As you move through your days, allow these symbols to remind you of the reality you are calling forth. Watch as they transform from mere marks into living energies, actively participating in the creation of your experience. The sound alchemy. In the quiet hours before dawn, Lyra discovered a truth that would transform her understanding of creation. As she sat in her garden, humming softly without purpose or pattern, she witnessed how the morning flowers turned toward her voice. The simple act revealed the first principle: sound shapes reality. Through this resonance with life itself, a deeper wisdom emerged. Every utterance carries the power to mold the unseen forces that govern existence. Your words are not mere expressions. They are the architects of your reality, each syllable laying foundation stones in the temple of your experience. The universe responds not to the surface meaning of your speech, but to the vibrational essence contained within. When you speak, you unleash waves of creative force that ripple through the fabric of existence. These ripples return as the circumstances and conditions of your life. This truth found powerful demonstration through Cassius's experience. For years, he had greeted each morning with the same phrase, "Another challenging day approaching." His life reflected this declaration with unwavering accuracy. Then, guided by inner wisdom, he altered his daily declaration to, "I welcome the gifts this day brings." Within weeks, the entire landscape of his existence shifted. Opportunities arose unexpectedly, relationships sweetened, and paths cleared before him. His simple shift in expression reshaped the atmospheric conditions of his life. Like a master conductor, he had changed the score, and the orchestra of existence responded accordingly. Through this transformation, he proved that words do not simply describe our reality, they generate it. The air around you is alive with potential, waiting to be shaped by the frequencies of your speech. Each word you utter sends forth a pattern that the universe faithfully reproduces in physical form. You are continuously broadcasting the blueprint of your experience through the frequency of your chosen expressions. The ancient practice sit in quietude as dawn approaches. For the space of 3 breaths, allow silence to clear the chamber of your mind. Then, with gentle attention, begin forming each sentence you speak as though describing a world already filled with your heart's desires. Let your words flow like music, carrying the tone of fulfillment already achieved. Continue this practice until you feel the shift from mere speaking to conscious creation. The field of expectation. In a small mountain village, Leanna tended her modest shop, arranging her wares each morning with meticulous care. Yet day after day, she would stand behind her counter, silently rehearsing the certainty of empty hours ahead. As surely as water flows downhill, her prophecy fulfilled itself. Customers turned away at her door, sensing the heavy air of anticipated disappointment. Then one morning, while arranging her shelves, she noticed how the dust motes danced in the sunbeam, each particle suspended in light, moving in perfect response to invisible currents. In that moment, understanding dawned. Just as those motes followed the air's subtle direction, so too did life's circumstances follow the current of her thoughts. The law writes itself in every moment. Your expectations are silent commands to the universe. When you await difficulty, you unknowingly dispatch messengers to arrange its arrival. Your anticipation becomes the architect of tomorrow, drawing up detailed plans that the universe faithfully executes. Consider Dante, who walked the same streets each day beneath storm clouds of his own making. His thoughts dwelled on what could go wrong, and the world obliged by manifesting his fears. Then one morning, he chose differently. Instead of armoring himself against imagined disasters, he allowed gentleness to fill his mind. He greeted each moment as though it carried a gift. The shift was subtle at first. A smile from a stranger, an unexpected kindness, a fortunate timing. But as his new expectation took root, the very fabric of his days began to reshape itself. Opportunities appeared where there had been walls. Doors opened that he hadn't known existed. The universe rearranged itself to match his transformed vision. This is not mere coincidence, but cosmic law. Mind dictates probability. Your expectations are not passive observers, but active creators, reaching into the quantum field of possibility and drawing forth matching circumstances. When you expect beauty, you tune your entire being to its frequency. When you anticipate grace, you become its natural conductor. Think of your mind as a master gardener. The seeds it plants, whether flowers or weeds, will surely grow. Each expectation you hold becomes a seed, drawing to itself all elements needed for its manifestation. Practice begin each day by consciously setting your expectation of beauty and blessing. Envision your desired experience as an appointment already scheduled in the cosmic calendar. Feel the certainty of its arrival as deeply as you trust the sun to rise. Let your anticipation be a beacon, drawing forth the very circumstances you wish to meet. This is not hoping or wishing, but knowing. As surely as spring follows winter, your expectation shapes the contours of what approaches. The sanctuary of silence. Long ago, in a remote valley, a woman named Amara lived in perpetual motion, her days filled with endless activity and ceaseless thought. Though she sought wisdom in ancient texts and distant teachers, true understanding eluded her grasp. One dawn, exhausted from her searching, she sat beneath an ancient oak tree and for the first time allowed herself to be still. In that moment of surrender, she discovered a vast expanse within, an infinite space untouched by the world's commotion. As she returned to this inner sanctuary day after day, she realized that all answers already existed in this soundless realm, waiting to be recognized rather than found. Within the depths of silence dwells a sacred intelligence that needs no voice to speak its truth. This quiet space is not empty but pregnant with infinite possibility. Just as the universe emerged from the great silence before creation, all manifestation springs forth from moments of pure stillness. When you learn to rest in this sacred quiet, you tap into the very source of creative power. The world teaches that answers come through constant seeking, yet wisdom reveals itself most clearly when the mind grows still. Like the surface of a lake that must become motionless to reflect the sky above, your consciousness must settle into silence to mirror divine intelligence. In these sacred moments of inner quiet, the whispers of intuition become thunderous clarity. Raven discovered this truth after years of frantically pursuing signs and guidance. One evening, having exhausted himself with questions, he simply stopped asking. In that space of acceptance, understanding flowed effortlessly, not as words or visions, but as unwavering knowing. The silence had become his teacher. When you cease the endless, internal dialogue and rest in the sacred stillness, you open yourself to guidance that transcends ordinary thought. This is not the absence of sound, but the presence of limitless potential. Every answer you seek already exists within this infinite quiet. Ancient practice. Find a space where you will remain undisturbed. Sit comfortably and allow your attention to turn inward. Rather than forcing thoughts away, simply observe them passing like clouds across the sky of your awareness. As your mind naturally settles, rest in the silence that emerges. Remain here until you sense that deep knowing that arises not from thought, but from the still depths of being. Practice this daily, allowing the sacred silence to become your most trusted guide. The crystallization of decision. In a small village among ancient hills, a young woman named Celeste stood at the crossroads of her destiny. Each morning she would rise with uncertainty clouding her vision, possibilities swirling around her, like autumn leaves in a tempest. The weight of unmade decisions hung heavy in the air, creating a thick mist that seemed to obscure every path before her. You see, within every moment of indecision lies a veiled power waiting to be unleashed. When thoughts remain unfocused, floating between various possibilities, they cannot condense into the pure energy needed for manifestation. This is the first essential truth. Decision acts as the crystallizing force that transforms ethereal potential into tangible reality. The universe responds not to wishful contemplation, but to the electric certainty of choice. When you declare your path with unwavering clarity, the very fabric of existence begins to arrange itself in accordance with your decision. This is not mere coincidence, but the operation of an eternal law, the law of directed consciousness. Soren discovered this truth through his own journey. After years of drifting between possibilities, he finally stood firm in his chosen direction. From that moment, every event, every encounter, every circumstance aligned to support his decision. When he chose to become a healer, patience appeared at his door. When he decided to build a sanctuary, benefactors emerged from unexpected places. The universe responded not to his wishes, but to his choices. This teaches us that commitment possesses a magnetic quality. When you make a clear decision, you create a line of force, an energetic pathway through which manifestation can flow. Uncertainty scatters your creative power, while decision concentrates it into a laser beam of intentional energy. The fog that surrounded Celeste began to lift only when she realized that clarity comes not from endless contemplation, but from the act of choosing itself. Each decision, no matter how small, serves as a declaration to the universe, a statement of who you are becoming in your own life. Notice how unmade decisions create stagnation. Feel how the very act of choosing, even in small matters, brings immediate relief and a sense of forward movement. This is the universe responding to your willingness to direct your own path. Practice. As the ancient masters taught, sit in quietude each morning and announce one clear choice to the universe. Hold this declaration in your heart until you feel the subtle shift, the moment when unseen forces begin to crystallize around your decision. Continue this practice until you sense the solid ground of certainty beneath your feet, knowing that each choice shapes the reality that follows. The infinite gift. At the heart of manifestation lies a truth so simple yet so frequently overlooked. Within the ancient scrolls of wisdom, a story emerges of Naya, who waited at the threshold of abundance, searching for evidence before allowing joy to enter her heart. Day after day, she stood guard over her emotions, rationing gratitude as though it were a precious commodity to be dispensed only after receiving proof of blessing. Yet, the universe operates through inverse principles. Like a farmer who must first plant the seed before witnessing the harvest, gratitude must precede manifestation. When Naya finally understood this eternal law, she began celebrating the gifts that existed in potential rather than waiting for their physical appearance. As she shifted into this new way of being, the very fabric of her reality began to transform. The gates of abundance respond not to desperate need, but to the magnetic force of appreciation. This truth reveals itself through the tale of Zion, who discovered the hidden power of grateful celebration. Standing before an empty purse, rather than succumbing to despair, he chose to rejoice. With each expression of thanks, he planted seeds in the fertile soil of possibility. Soon, as naturally as dawn follows night, prosperity flowed into his life. You possess this same creative force within you. The law remains constant. Emotion shapes the mold into which substance flows. Your feelings are the architects of tomorrow's reality. When you choose gratitude before evidence appears, you align with the creative principle that governs all manifestation. Think of gratitude as a lens through which you view your world. When you peer through this lens, even before physical changes manifest, you tune your consciousness to the frequency of abundance. This alignment creates a bridge between the unseen and the seen, between potential and actualization. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you feel. When you cultivate genuine appreciation for blessings still invisible to physical eyes, you create a magnetic field that draws those very blessings into material form. This is not mere positive thinking. It is the activation of universal law. Now, what we've explored here, this understanding of gratitude as frequency, of manifestation through resonance, this is just the surface layer of a much deeper system. In my book, Beyond the Frequencies, A Quantum Guide to Consciousness Mastery, I walk you through the complete framework of the 9 master frequencies that govern all creation, including the specific practices for embodying gratitude, not just as emotion, but as your permanent broadcast signal. It's linked in the pinned comment below. Practice each evening. Set aside a sacred moment for rejoicing over blessings that exist in potential. Feel the joy of dreams fulfilled as though they already surround you. Let your gratitude flow freely for gifts still unseen by physical eyes. This feeling becomes the sculptor's hands, shaping ethereal possibility into tangible reality. The magnetic vision. In the realm between sleeping and waking, where wisdom often reveals its deepest truths, a tale unfolds that speaks to the very nature of your reality. Within this sacred space, walking through corridors of infinite reflection, you will discover how the world mirrors the vibrations you emanate. Long ago, in a monastery among ancient peaks, Arya entered a meditation that transported her consciousness into a remarkable passageway. Here, countless mirrors lined the walls, yet none showed her physical form. Instead, each surface reflected the subtle energies of her emotional state. Her fears appeared as storm clouds, her joy as golden light, her doubt as shifting shadows. As she moved through this mystical corridor, Arya observed how each mirror responded instantaneously to the slightest shift in her inner state. When anxiety arose, the reflections darkened. When peace filled her heart, they shimmered with ethereal radiance. Through this experience, she grasped a fundamental truth. The outer world perpetually mirrors your inner vibrational state. This teaching carries profound implications for your journey of manifestation. Just as Arya's emotions were displayed in those dream mirrors, your current reality reflects the predominant frequencies you maintain within. Every circumstance, every encounter, every apparent coincidence, all mirror back to you the vibration you hold in your consciousness. Consider the experience of Caden, who discovered this principle through his own unique passage. Sitting in contemplation before a mirror, he noticed how the reflection seemed to shift as his emotional state changed. When he deliberately cultivated inner calm, the mirror's surface appeared to soften, eventually dissolving into pure light. Through this practice, he learned that outer circumstances naturally transform as inner harmony increases. The universe operates as an infinite hall of mirrors, each reflection precisely calibrated to your inner frequency. What you perceive as external reality is actually a living feedback system, continuously showing you the vibrational tone you maintain within. When you encounter circumstances you wish to change, the key lies not in attempting to alter the reflection, but in adjusting the inner signal being reflected. This wisdom reveals why forcing external change often proves futile, like trying to adjust your image by touching the mirror's surface. Manipulating outer conditions without shifting inner frequency creates only temporary effects. True transformation occurs when you modify the source vibration, your own consciousness. Sacred practice. When you encounter reflections in your life that you find challenging or unpleasant, pause and recognize them as mirrors of internal frequencies. Rather than reacting with resistance, bless these reflections with understanding and compassion. See them as messengers revealing aspects of consciousness ready for transformation. Continue this blessing practice until you notice the reflection beginning to soften and shift, revealing the pure light of awareness that lies behind all manifestation. Let this light remind you of your power to adjust the inner tone that the universe so faithfully mirrors back to you. The circulation field. In a village among misty mountains, there lived a woman named Lyric, who understood a sacred principle that would transform the very fabric of existence. Each morning, she stood at her window and beheld the world with eyes of pure appreciation. To passing strangers, she offered silent blessings. To the merchants in the marketplace, she gave genuine words of gratitude. To children playing in the streets, she bestowed smiles of pure delight. The universe operates through an eternal law of circulation. What flows out must flow back, multiplied and magnified. As you direct your energy into the world, so shall it return to you. This truth lies at the heart of all abundance, yet few grasp its profound simplicity. When you give praise without condition, when you offer blessing without expectation, you activate the cosmic law of reciprocity. Through your appreciation, you become a channel through which universal abundance flows. The moment you withhold, the flow diminishes. The instant you give freely, it expands. This is not mere theory. It is the foundational principle upon which all prosperity rests. Consider the tale of Elias, who transformed his life through this understanding. In every encounter, whether with beggar or merchant prince, he saw an opportunity to exchange divine grace. He treated each interaction as sacred commerce, offering genuine appreciation and receiving abundance in return. His wealth grew not through calculation, but through the natural expansion that follows unrestricted giving. When you bless others, you declare your trust in the abundance of the universe. You demonstrate faith in the infinite supply that flows through all things. This faith becomes the magnet that draws prosperity toward you. Yet the blessing must be pure, untainted by expectation or demand. It must flow from a heart that gives simply because giving is its nature. The law operates with mathematical precision. What you send into the world returns multiplied. A single blessing ripples outward, touching countless lives before returning as a wave of abundance. A moment of genuine appreciation sets in motion forces that echo through eternity. This is the geometry of gratitude, the sacred mathematics of circulation. Sacred practice. As you move through your day, silently bless each person you encounter. See them as partners in the divine dance of giving and receiving. Let your heart radiate appreciation without condition or limit. Watch as the universe mirrors your generosity, returning each blessing multiplied. Through this practice, you join the eternal flow of abundance that sustains all life. The portal of trust. In the heart of an ancient marketplace, a merchant named Sienna arranged her wares each morning with meticulous precision. Day after day, she positioned her goods according to careful calculation and rigid planning. Though successful by ordinary measures, she felt a persistent whisper within, urging her to break from her usual patterns. One morning, against all logical reasoning, she followed a subtle urge to arrange her shop differently. Rather than displaying her finest pieces at the front, as custom dictated, she placed them in an obscure corner. The rational mind protested, yet something deeper guided her hands. That afternoon, a mysterious traveler, drawn to that very corner, discovered her most precious items. This chance encounter led to an opportunity that would have remained forever hidden had she ignored her inner knowing. The universe speaks in whispers, not shouts. Its language is the soft nudge of intuition, the quiet knowing that transcends the mind's constant chatter. When you attune yourself to this subtle guidance, you align with currents of possibility that logic alone could never reveal. Consider how often the analytical mind attempts to map every step before taking the first one. Yet the grandest designs of the universe rarely reveal themselves to such rigid planning. The cosmic order operates through an intelligence far vaster than human reasoning. Rowan discovered this truth through his own journey. A master planner who had always charted every detail of his path, he found himself at a crossroads where no amount of analysis could light the way forward. In that moment of surrender, when he finally released his grip on control, life's divine sequence began to unfold with perfect precision. The universe operates through an intelligence that orchestrates millions of events in perfect harmony. This wisdom flows through you as intuition, the knowing beyond knowing. When you trust this inner compass, you tap into a field of infinite intelligence that arranges circumstances with exquisite timing. Trust becomes the bridge between intention and manifestation. It is not blind faith, but rather a refined attunement to the subtle currents of life. Each time you honor your intuitive knowing, you strengthen this connection, allowing greater wonders to flow through this channel of trust. Let your inner knowing guide you. Release the need to understand every step before taking action. The universe reveals its plan through the language of gentle nudges, subtle coincidences, and quiet certainty. Your role is simply to listen and follow. Remember, the path of manifestation often defies logical sequence. What appears as random chance to the analytical mind is actually precise orchestration by universal intelligence. Trust opens the door to this higher ordering. Practice each day. Set aside a period of sacred stillness. Turn your attention inward, away from the noise of external demands and mental chatter. Rest in the space of pure awareness until you sense the subtle stirring of intuitive guidance. When this gentle knowing emerges, follow its direction without demanding to see the entire path. Let confidence arise naturally from this alignment with inner wisdom. Continue this practice until trust becomes your natural state of being. The ancient ones taught that the greatest power lies not in forcing our will upon life, but in aligning with the perfect flow that already exists. Through trust, you become a conscious participant in this divine dance of manifestation. The power of continuance. In a small mountain village, Selena began each venture with blazing enthusiasm. Her hands would tremble with excitement as she gathered materials for a new painting, arranged seeds for a garden, or opened blank pages for writing. Yet, as surely as dawn followed night, her fervor would fade like morning mist, leaving projects half-finished and dreams suspended in twilight. Within the depths of your being lives this same pattern of passionate beginnings. You recognize the electric thrill of new endeavors, the way possibility sparkles in those first moments of creation. Yet the true alchemy of manifestation requires more than initial spark. It demands the steady flame of unwavering attention. The universe speaks through persistence. Each consistent action carves a channel in the fabric of reality through which divine power flows with increasing force. When you maintain focus on a single point, you command the scattered energies of existence to converge. This convergence transforms ethereal thought into solid form. Consider the tale of Kai, who spent 20 years carving stone in his modest workshop. Each morning he would approach the marble with quiet reverence, letting his chisel touch the surface with gentle certainty. Days became months. Months stretched into years. And still he carved with unchanged devotion. Gradually, the stone began responding to his touch before the chisel made contact, as if it anticipated his intention. The marble seemed to reveal its hidden forms willingly, flowing beneath his hands like water. The law governing this phenomenon remains constant. Energy follows attention. Where consciousness maintains steady focus, matter eventually yields. Your thoughts, when held with unwavering consistency, become instructions that the universe must obey. This is not the realm of forcing or striving, but of steady, patient alignment. Think of the ocean wearing away stone or water carving canyons through rock. These transformations occur not through sudden force, but through the power of persistent presence. Similarly, your sustained attention to a single vision creates an energetic groove through which manifestation naturally flows. The 64th degree reveals that mastery emerges not from sporadic brilliance, but from devoted practice. When you commit to one path, one vision, one practice, you announce to the universe your readiness to receive. This dedication becomes a magnetic force drawing forth the very essence of your desire. Ancient practice. Find a quiet moment at sunrise. Close your eyes and envision your deepest aspiration as a seed of light within your heart. For the next 64 days, spend 11 minutes each morning nurturing this same vision. Let your breath flow steadily as you hold the image, with gentle focus. Watch how the universe begins orchestrating circumstances to match your sustained attention. Through this practice, you declare your commitment to the law of persistence, allowing divine power to flow through the channel of your unwavering devotion. Part 3. The Supreme Alignment, the Seat of Awareness. In the quiet mountains of the East, Zara discovered a truth that transformed her understanding of reality. Each morning she would sit beneath an ancient cedar tree, observing the parade of thoughts that crossed her mind. At first, these thoughts seemed like untamed winds sweeping her in countless directions. Yet, as her observation deepened, she began to perceive them differently, as attendants waiting in a grand court, each eager to serve, but requiring direction from their sovereign. Your mind operates as this same celestial court. Every thought that arises stands as an attendant, awaiting your conscious command. When you recognize this fundamental truth, the seemingly chaotic nature of consciousness reveals its underlying order. You are not at the mercy of your thoughts. You are their rightful ruler. The universe has bestowed upon you this divine authority. Each moment presents a choice: to be carried away by the court's chatter or to sit upon the throne of awareness, governing with serene wisdom. This governance requires no force, no struggle. It asks only for your conscious presence, your unwavering observation. Consider Atlas, who found himself amid a marketplace in turmoil. Merchants argued, children cried, and confusion reigned. Yet Atlas sat on a simple wooden bench, his presence unchanging. Those who passed him felt their agitation dissolve, as if touching a still pool. Without word or action, his inner stillness commanded outer chaos to transform into harmony. This exemplifies the higher law. Consciousness, when seated in its natural authority, needs no defense. Like a monarch whose mere presence brings order to the court, your aware attention naturally aligns the realm of thought. This is not control through force, but governance through grace. The 64th degree teaches that mastery of mind emerges not from battling thoughts, but from recognizing their true nature as servants of awareness. When you maintain the position of conscious observer, mental activity naturally arranges itself in harmonious patterns around your stable center. Ancient practice: find a quiet space and assume the posture of inner sovereignty. Watch as thoughts approach like courtiers seeking audience. Observe them without engagement, maintaining the dignified silence of true authority. Notice how they begin to bow to your steady awareness, arranging themselves in service to your peace. Practice this royal observation for 20 minutes each day, allowing the natural hierarchy of consciousness to restore itself through your unwavering presence. The jewel of calm power. In an age when voices competed to be heard and force seemed to rule all encounters, Nova carried a misconception common to many souls, that gentleness signified weakness. Like countless others before her, she believed power resided in raised voices and firm stances. Yet the universe prepared to teach her otherwise through the subtle language of experience. As merchant of rare textiles, Nova often found herself amid heated negotiations. One particularly volatile morning, when a customer's anger threatened to erupt into chaos, she discovered something extraordinary. Instead of matching the rising tension with her own defensive energy, exhaustion led her to simply remain still. To her amazement, the space around her began to shift. The customer's hostility, finding no resistance, gradually dissolved into calm. This moment revealed a profound truth that has echoed through the ages. True power lies not in what is expended, but in what is contained. Like a still lake that holds enormous potential energy, or a diamond formed under pressure yet remaining clear and unperturbed, calmness represents power in its most concentrated form. You see this principle illustrated in the experience of Lucien, whose story has been passed down through generations. When surrounded by a crowd inflamed with anger, he chose to remain in absolute silence. Rather than attempting to overpower the chaos, he became like a center of gravity around which the storm of emotions eventually settled. His stillness proved more potent than any show of force could have been. The universe operates through this law of conservation. The less energy scattered in reaction, the more power available for transformation. Think of the difference between a scattered handful of sand and a crystallized gemstone. Both contain the same elements, yet one has become concentrated into clarity and strength through perfect stillness. This ancient wisdom reveals that serenity is not passive, but rather represents the highest form of power. When you maintain inner calm amid external turbulence, you access a frequency of energy that operates above the level of conflict. Like the eye of a storm, this centered stillness creates a field of peace that naturally harmonizes discord around it. Your journey toward mastery requires understanding that power need not announce itself with noise and movement. The most profound influence often manifests through perfect poise, the ability to remain unmoved while affecting everything in your sphere. Ancient practice. Sit in perfect stillness, imagining yourself as a flawless crystal. When facing any turbulent situation, return to this crystalline clarity within. Rather than reacting, maintain your inner polish and watch as external circumstances begin to reflect your composed state. Practice this gem-like serenity until it becomes your natural response to all disturbance. The symphony of intuition. Along a winding path through ancient woods, Sage discovered a truth that would transform her understanding of guidance. Each time she faced a choice, she noticed a subtle melody arising within, not in words or thoughts, but as a delicate music that preceded all reasoning. Like wind through leaves, these inner songs whispered the way forward before her mind could analyze the path. This celestial music of the soul speaks in tones too fine for the physical ear, yet unmistakable to the awakened heart. You possess this same internal symphony, though you may have forgotten how to hear it. Beneath the clamor of logic and the noise of endless analysis, a perfect guidance system awaits your recognition. The wisdom encoded in these subtle frequencies arrives fully formed, requiring no debate or discussion. It manifests as a gentle knowing, a quiet certainty that precedes all mental activity. This is the voice of your higher self, singing through the medium of pure intuition. Valor discovered this truth during a time of profound uncertainty. Rather than wrestling with endless pros and cons, he began attending to the first soft note that arose in any situation. This initial whisper, he found, contained complete wisdom, though his mind often rushed to complicate its simple clarity. As he learned to trust these subtle melodies, life began orchestrating perfect synchronicities around him. What appears as coincidence to the logical mind reveals itself as cosmic harmony. When you attune to intuitive frequencies, the universe operates through resonance, not reason. Your inner music aligns naturally with the symphony of existence, conducting circumstances into elegant arrangements that no amount of planning could achieve. This knowing beyond knowledge speaks in the space before thought takes shape. It requires no validation or verification, for it carries the authority of direct perception. When you learn to trust this first gentle note, you tap into a guidance system as natural as a bird's sense of direction or a flower's knowledge of when to bloom. The mind seeks proofs and guarantees, but intuition operates through immediate recognition. It arrives as a complete download of understanding, often accompanied by a physical sensation of rightness or a subtle inner chime of confirmation. This is your soul's native language, the voice of wisdom speaking directly through feeling. Sacred practice. Each morning before engaging with the day's decisions, enter a space of quiet receptivity. Allow the first gentle note of guidance to arise naturally, without forcing or seeking. Notice the quality of this initial impulse before mental analysis begins. Practice trusting this subtle song, following its lead without demanding logical justification. Let your intuition conduct the symphony of your life, knowing that the first soft whisper contains complete wisdom. The luminous service. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, Ember spent her morning serving tea to weary travelers. Though she had dedicated years to spiritual practices in solitude, it was through this simple act of service that she discovered a profound truth. Each cup offered with pure intention seemed to clarify not only the recipient's energy, but her own. Within the ancient wisdom traditions lies a paradox that reveals itself through selfless action. While meditation and contemplation illuminate the inner path, it is through service to others that consciousness finds its highest refinement. The universe operates through an eternal dance of giving and receiving, where every genuine act of kindness creates ripples of harmony that transform both giver and receiver. The law governing this mystical exchange reveals that service acts as an alchemical force, transmuting the dense energies of ego into pure light. When you extend yourself beyond personal concerns to ease another's journey, something remarkable occurs. Your own frequency naturally elevates. This is not theory, but living truth demonstrated countless times through the ages. Caspian embodied this principle through anonymous donations to those in need. He sought no recognition, understanding that purity of intention magnifies impact. As his giving increased, he noticed an inexplicable expansion in his own resources. The universe seemed to mirror his generosity, multiplying abundance in unexpected ways. This was not mere coincidence, but demonstration of an eternal law. What flows out returns amplified. Service polishes the lamp of consciousness until it shines with increasing brightness. Each selfless act removes another layer of separation between self and divine. The ego's static, its constant need for recognition and reward, gradually dissolves in the face of pure giving. What remains is clear, coherent light expressing through human form. This truth extends beyond material giving. A smile freely given, a moment of genuine listening, a silent blessing sent to a stranger, all are forms of service that refine your vibration. The key lies not in the magnitude of the act, but in the purity of intention behind it. Sacred practice. Each day perform one act of kindness without seeking acknowledgement or reward. It need not be grand. Perhaps leaving an anonymous note of encouragement, quietly clearing another's path, or sending silent blessings to those you encounter. As you give, maintain awareness that the universe observes and replicates your gesture in ways beyond your knowing. Let your service be a lamp lighting the way for others while simultaneously illuminating your own path to higher consciousness. Drop one word in the comments that captures the transformation you're choosing right now. Let that word be your energetic signature to the quantum field. And if this transmission has activated something in you, if you feel the truth of what we're exploring here, then subscribe. Not just to stay connected, but to stay coherent, to stay elevated, to stay in this frequency. Because the more of us who embody this awareness, the more the world reflects that truth. Part 4. The infinite continuation. The mirror of reflection. In the hours before dawn, when the world holds its breath in perfect stillness, Marina discovered a truth that would forever alter her understanding of reality. Standing before a lake untouched by wind, she gazed into waters that mirrored not just the physical world, but the very essence of consciousness itself. You possess this same capacity for profound recognition. When you stand before any reflective surface, be it water, mirror, or the gleam in another's eyes, you encounter more than mere appearance. You witness the living dialogue between consciousness and form, between the observer and the observed. The ancient wisdom teaches that reflection operates as a universal law extending far beyond the physical mirror. Every thought you release into the cosmos returns to you multiplied by the attention you give it. Your world becomes a vast mirror, responding not to what you wish to see, but to what you consistently hold in your awareness. Consider how Talon's revelation came on a night when stars decorated the surface of a still lake. As he watched each celestial light shimmer upon the water, understanding dawned within his heart. Every point of light responded to his gaze, creating a sacred conversation between heaven and earth. In that moment, he realized that consciousness itself operates as an eternal mirror, reflecting back precisely what we offer to it. This principle reveals why your experiences seem to echo your dominant thoughts. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, reflects back to you the exact frequency of your attention. When you focus on lack, the mirror shows you more opportunities for scarcity. When you attune to abundance, the reflection multiplies prosperity in every direction. Yet this mirroring extends beyond the material realm. Each interaction, each circumstance, each moment serves as a reflection of your inner state. The faces you meet, the situations you encounter, the opportunities that arise, all mirror back the quality of your consciousness. The power of this understanding lies in its practical application. When you recognize that your external world reflects your internal state, you gain the ability to alter the reflection by changing what you hold within. Just as a lake's surface must be still to reflect clearly, your mind must reach a state of calm clarity to accurately mirror your highest intentions. Through this gate of reflection, you discover that identity exists beyond physical form. The true self emerges not in the surface image, but in the awareness that witnesses the reflection. You are not the reflection. You are the consciousness that perceives it. Practice. Find a calm, reflective surface, a still pool, a mirror, or even a window at twilight. Sit before it in perfect stillness. Allow your gaze to soften until you no longer focus on the physical form reflected, but sense the presence of awareness itself. Continue this practice until the boundary between observer and reflection dissolves, revealing the unified field of consciousness that underlies all appearances. The sacred interval. In the shadow of an ancient temple, Vesper discovered a truth that had eluded countless seekers before her. As temple bells rang their sacred song, she found herself drawn not to their resonant tones, but to the spaces between them. In these intervals, she encountered something extraordinary, a living silence that pulsed with infinite potential. Like dewdrops suspended in morning light, these moments between moments revealed themselves as portals to the eternal. Vesper recognized that just as music finds its rhythm in the spaces between notes, life's deepest wisdom emerges from the intervals between experiences. Each pause contained not emptiness, but the very essence of creation itself. The universe speaks its most profound truths in whispers of silence. When you learn to attune yourself to these divine intervals, you begin to perceive the underlying structure of existence. These are not mere gaps or absences, but the foundation upon which all manifestation rests. Just as the white space between written words gives meaning to language, the stillness between moments gives form to experience. Stellan's revelation came through patient observation. As he moved through his days, he noticed that his most inspired actions arose not from careful planning, but from listening to the quiet spaces between thoughts. These intervals became his most trusted guide, leading him to harmonious outcomes that logic alone could never have conceived. The cosmic dance of creation requires both movement and stillness, sound and silence, action and rest. You have been taught to value activity, to measure progress by constant motion. Yet the greatest power lies in the spaces between, the divine intervals where potential gathers before manifestation. Think of these intervals as the inhalation before speech, the gathering of energy before expression. They are the pregnant pause before dawn, the moment of possibility before thought crystallizes into form. Within these spaces, the infinite orchestrates its symphony of creation. When you learn to honor these intervals, you align yourself with the natural rhythm of the universe. Like a master musician who knows that music lives as much in the spaces between notes as in the notes themselves, you begin to recognize that life's greatest mysteries unfold in moments of sacred stillness. The power of the interval extends beyond mere temporal spaces. It exists in the gap between thoughts, in the silence between words, in the stillness between breaths. These are the moments when the divine whispers its secrets to those who have learned to listen. Practice find a quiet place where you can sit undisturbed. As thoughts arise, turn your attention not to the thoughts themselves, but to the spaces between them. Rest in these intervals as though they were doorways to the infinite. Notice how each pause contains its own luminous quality, its own living presence. Let these moments of stillness reveal themselves as the sacred heartbeat of first creation, the eternal pulse from which all manifestation springs forth. The grace of humility. In the ancient scrolls, a truth lies inscribed in golden letters. The greatest power comes not from rising above, but from bowing within. This wisdom unfolds through the tale of Luna, who once stood atop the mountain of her own certainty, demanding that the universe bend to her will. She sought grand revelations and dramatic signs, expecting the divine to announce its presence with thunder and lightning. Yet the universe, in its infinite wisdom, spoke instead through whispers. Day after day, subtle hints and gentle corrections crossed her path. At first, she dismissed these quiet messengers, believing truth must arrive dressed in splendor. But life, patient teacher, that it is, continued its soft instruction until Luna's resistance dissolved into surrender. In this surrender, she discovered an unexpected paradox. The more she released her grip on knowing, the more knowledge flowed freely to her. When she ceased demanding answers, wisdom began to seek her out. The very signs she had once commanded now appeared naturally, like morning dew upon grass. This is the hidden law that governs all spiritual unfoldment. Humility acts as a magnetic force, drawing clarity to those who make space for it. Pride, with its rigid certainty, creates static that scrambles the frequencies of truth. But in the quiet valley of humility, wisdom flows like a clear stream. Maximus embodied this principle through his interaction with life's continuous corrections. Where others might have bristled at feedback or defended their positions, he received each adjustment with grace. When his beliefs were challenged, he did not fortify his walls, but opened his gates wider. When his plans met obstacles, he saw not opposition, but refinement. With each bow of acceptance, his inner space expanded. This is the magnificent paradox of spiritual law. What appears to diminish the self actually enlarges it. Every act of humble recognition becomes a doorway to greater understanding. Just as a tree grows stronger by bending with the wind rather than standing rigid against it, the soul grows through flexibility rather than resistance. You stand now at this same threshold of understanding. The universe continuously offers its guidance, not through dramatic displays, but through gentle nudges and quiet corrections. Each moment brings an opportunity to either defend your position or bow to a greater wisdom. In choosing humility, you align with the natural flow of divine instruction. The sacred texts speak of this as the royal modesty, for true sovereignty comes not from commanding, but from receiving. When you approach life as an eternal student rather than a finished master, every experience becomes your teacher. Even apparent setbacks reveal themselves as steps forward on the spiral path of growth. Ancient practice begin each morning by kneeling or bowing in silent gratitude. As you move through your day, welcome each correction as a gift rather than an affront. When someone offers feedback, breathe deeply and respond with, "Thank you for this teaching." Let every challenge become an opportunity to practice graceful acceptance. In moments of uncertainty, whisper to yourself, "I am willing to be shown a better way." Continue this practice until you feel your inner resistance dissolve and humility becomes your natural state of being. The numerical symphony. In the shadow of an ancient observatory, Aurora sat counting stars until a pattern emerged that changed her perception forever. Each evening, she noticed certain numbers appearing with mysterious regularity. In the petals of flowers, in the spirals of shells, in the timing of events that shaped her path. These were not mere coincidences, but whispers of a cosmic language that had always been present, waiting to be understood. The universe speaks through numbers, each digit vibrating with its own sacred frequency. When you learn to listen, you discover that numbers are not cold, lifeless symbols, but living expressions of divine intelligence. They form the basic grammar of creation, the underlying rhythm through which the infinite orchestrates its dance in the finite world. Finn, a humble timekeeper, unlocked this truth through patient observation. He noticed that significant events in his life occurred in numerical sequences. Particular hours would repeat. Specific dates would echo. What others dismissed as chance, he recognized as the universe's subtle guidance system. His breakthroughs arrived at 11:11, his moments of clarity at 3:33, his opportunities at 4:44. Through these patterns, he learned to read the timing of manifestation itself. Numbers hold vibrational signatures that resonate with different aspects of creation. The number 1 vibrates with new beginnings, 2 with balance, 3 with creative expression, 4 with foundation, 5 with change, 6 with harmony, 7 with spiritual insight, 8 with abundance, and 9 with completion. These are not arbitrary associations, but fundamental harmonics in the symphony of existence. When you observe numerical sequences appearing in your life, you glimpse the architecture of divine timing. These patterns are not superstitions to be feared or worshipped, but gentle indicators of universal flow. They reveal the rhythmic nature of manifestation, showing you when to act and when to wait, when to advance, and when to reflect. The key lies not in rigid interpretation, but in feeling the resonance of each number. Like musical notes, numbers create harmonies and dissonances, rhythms and melodies. When you attune to this numerical music, you align with the natural timing of your desire's manifestation. Sacred practice. Begin each day by acknowledging the numerical patterns that present themselves to you. Notice the times you wake, the sequences that appear in addresses, phone numbers, or dates. Rather than seeking meaning through predetermined interpretations, feel the energy each number sequence carries. Let your intuition guide your understanding of these cosmic timestamps. Through this practice, you'll develop a natural fluency in the mathematical language of the universe, allowing you to move in harmony with its divine timing. The luminous pause between words. In a humble monastery library, Winter spent countless hours studying ancient texts. Each day, she pored over volumes of sacred wisdom, seeking enlightenment through the written word. Yet understanding eluded her until one fateful evening, when exhaustion slowed her reading to a gentle pause. In that moment of surrender, as her eyes rested between sentences, something extraordinary happened. The space between words began to glow with meaning far deeper than the text itself. Like sunlight filtering through leaves, truth shimmered in the gaps between letters, in the white space surrounding each phrase. The real teaching lay not in the black ink of letters, but in the luminous field that held them. Just as music lives in the silence between notes, wisdom dwells in the space between thoughts. Every sacred text contains this hidden dimension, an unwritten light that speaks directly to the soul. When you approach any writing with reverence, you discover that meaning flows not just through words, but through the consciousness that cradles them. The physical text serves as a gateway into this deeper dimension of understanding. Each period, each comma becomes a doorway into infinite awareness. Cyprus experienced this mystery while reading an ordinary newspaper. As he slowed his pace, allowing each word to fully form before moving to the next, he felt the air around him become charged with presence. The space between sentences opened like windows into eternity. What appeared as simple news items transformed into portals of revelation. This principle extends beyond religious or spiritual texts. Every written word rides upon an ocean of silence. When you learn to rest in this silence, ordinary language becomes extraordinary. A shopping list can become a sacred scroll when read with awareness of the light between its lines. The ancients understood this secret. They knew that truth cannot be captured in words alone, but lives in the sacred pause that contains them. This is why medieval manuscripts often featured elaborate spaces between letters, not for decoration, but as reminders to rest in the pregnant silence. You need not seek special texts to practice this art. Any writing can serve as your teacher when approached with awareness. The key lies not in what you read, but in how you read it. Let your eyes move slowly, reverently across each line. Feel the spaciousness that holds each word. Notice how meaning deepens when you allow pauses between phrases. These intervals are not empty. They pulse with living intelligence. Like clearings in a forest, they offer spaces where direct knowing can arise. The universe speaks through these silences. When you learn to listen here, every text becomes a conversation with the infinite. The words themselves become secondary to the luminous field from which they emerge. Choose any text, a novel, a poem, even this page before you. Read slowly, consciously, creating space between each word. Let your awareness rest in these intervals. Notice how the meaning shifts when you attend not just to the words, but to the silence that holds them. Continue until you sense the presence that lives in these sacred pauses. Let this presence teach you directly, beyond the limitations of language. The sacred polarity. In a quiet monastery garden, Indigo watched shadows dance across ancient stones. Despite years of spiritual practice, she found herself questioning why moments of darkness still touched her heart. Her meditation had deepened. Her understanding had expanded. Yet the full spectrum of human emotion continued to move through her like wind through leaves. The wisdom of the ages whispers a truth often overlooked. Contrast serves as the artist of awareness. Just as a painter needs both light and shadow to create depth, your consciousness requires the full palette of experience to paint the masterpiece of understanding. This is not a flaw in the design of existence, but its very perfection. Within the sacred mathematics of being, every shadow cast by life heightens the brilliance of illumination. Your moments of challenge do not oppose your enlightenment. They sculpt its finest details. When you embrace this truth, resistance dissolves into recognition. Jasper discovered this wisdom through the crucible of personal loss. His heart, cracked open by grief, became a vessel for something unexpected. A compassion so profound, it transformed his entire being. Through his experience, he realized that what appeared as suffering was actually an initiation into deeper love. The universe operates through complementary forces, not opposing ones. Like the inhale needs the exhale, like the tide must both advance and retreat. Your journey requires the full rhythm of experience. Each contrast you encounter serves as a messenger, bringing gifts of greater clarity. When you perceive difficulty, you stand before a doorway to expanded consciousness. The very presence of shadow indicates light's existence. In this understanding lies liberation. You need not wage war against life's darker tones. Instead, recognize them as the artists of depth in your spiritual vision. The 64th degree teaches that mastery comes not from eliminating contrast, but from transmuting it into wisdom. Every experience that touches your life arrives as a teacher, offering precise calibration for your energetic instruments. The darkness does not diminish your light. It reveals its true intensity. Sacred practice. Each evening, set aside 7 minutes for the ritual of sacred contrast. Recall a challenging moment from your day. Place your hands over your heart and whisper, "I bless this contrast as my teacher." Feel how this acceptance transforms the energy of the experience. Notice how blessing what appears as opposition actually refines your capacity for joy. Continue this practice until you recognize every shadow as a sacred sculpture of your enlightenment. The river of collective memory. Along the ancient riverbank, where time itself seemed to flow with the waters, Sage discovered a truth that had eluded scholars and seekers for generations. As she walked beside the meandering stream, its crystalline surface reflected more than just the physical world. It mirrored the eternal dance of consciousness across the ages. The waters before you hold more than their visible substance. Within each droplet swirls the accumulated wisdom of existence itself. Water, in its perfect fluidity, retains the impressions of all it has witnessed, all it has touched. Like a living record keeper, it stores within its molecular memory the songs, stories, and sacred knowledge of times long past. When you approach water with reverence, you activate its capacity to reveal these hidden treasures. The surface tension between past and present dissolves, allowing ancient wisdom to rise into your awareness. This is not mere metaphor. It is the literal truth of water's divine function as the universe's memory keeper. Orion discovered this profound reality one dawn as he knelt by a clear pool. As his fingers touched the cool surface, something extraordinary occurred. Fragments of peace, not from his own experience, but from countless souls who had found solace in water's embrace, began to filter into his consciousness. The serenity he felt was both ancient and immediate, transcending the boundaries of individual existence. This reveals a fundamental principle. Your consciousness is not confined to your present form. It flows like water through the vast expanse of existence. The memories you access by the waterside are not foreign to you. They are your own heritage, your spiritual inheritance, waiting to be reclaimed. The water before you serves as a living bridge between what seems lost and what remains eternal. Every river, stream, and ocean carries within it the complete story of creation. When you learn to listen with your soul's ears, these waters speak of truths that transcend time itself. This knowing surpasses intellectual understanding. It requires a different kind of attention, one that merges your awareness with the fluid nature of existence itself. As you observe water's movement, you begin to perceive how consciousness similarly flows, unbound by the artificial constraints of linear time. Ancient practice. Find a source of water, be it a stream, lake, or even a simple bowl. Sit in quietude beside it. Allow your breath to synchronize with its subtle movements. As you gaze upon its surface, release the notion of time as a rigid line. Feel yourself opening to the timeless wisdom held within each ripple. Listen not with your ears, but with your entire being as ancestral memories rise like gentle bubbles to the surface of awareness. Let the water teach you what your soul already knows, but your mind has forgotten. The vibrational garden. In a secluded valley among ancient hills, Arya tended a garden unlike any other. Each morning she would walk among her flowers, not with watering can or pruning shears, but carrying only her voice. She discovered that roses opened wider when she hummed in gentle thirds, while lilies reached skyward to meet precise octaves. Through patient observation, she uncovered the hidden law. Every living thing responds to specific vibrations that call forth its highest expression. This revelation extends far beyond the realm of flowers. All of creation, seen and unseen, moves according to frequency. Your thoughts, emotions, and spoken words generate vibrational patterns that shape the very substance of your reality. Like Arya's garden, your life responds to the tones you consistently offer. The universe operates as an infinite symphony, each element resonating at its unique pitch. When you understand this principle, you begin to see that manifestation is not about force or will, but about achieving harmonic alignment. Your role is to maintain the frequency that matches your desired creation. Consider River, who discovered this truth in his modest herb garden. Rather than focusing on external techniques, he began singing quietly to his plants each evening. The herbs responded not just with increased growth, but with intensified fragrance, proof that consciousness communes with matter through the bridge of sound. His garden became living, testimony that environment mirrors the energetic signature of its keeper. This ancient wisdom reveals why some spaces feel naturally uplifting, while others seem to drain energy. Every location carries the accumulated frequency of the thoughts and emotions consistently expressed there. Your home, workplace, and personal spaces resonate with the vibrational patterns you maintain. The power of frequency extends into every aspect of existence. Relationships flourish or fade based on the emotional tones you transmit. Opportunities appear or dissolve according to the vibration of your expectations. Health responds to the harmony or discord of your inner state. You are, in essence, a master gardener of frequency. Each thought you nurture, each feeling you sustain, each word you speak plants seeds that must grow true to their vibrational pattern. Understanding this transforms you from passive participant to conscious conductor of life's symphony. Sacred practice. Choose one area of your life you wish to nurture. Find a quiet moment each day to sit near this aspect, whether it be your workspace, a relationship photograph, or symbol of your aspiration. Begin humming or singing a tone that expresses pure gratitude. Let this sound arise naturally from your heart, without forcing or structuring it. Maintain this harmonious expression for several minutes, imagining your appreciation as nurturing light surrounding your chosen focus. Trust that the frequency of genuine thankfulness contains exactly the vibration needed for optimal growth. The crown of adaptability. In the heart of an ancient valley, where seasons painted the landscape in ever-changing hues, lived a woman named Willow. Each shift in weather, each unexpected turn of events would fill her heart with unease. She built walls of routine around herself, seeking shelter from life's flowing nature, until the day she witnessed a remarkable sight that transformed her understanding forever. At dawn, she observed a towering tree dancing with a fierce wind. While smaller rigid branches snapped and fell, The great limbs swayed in graceful surrender, growing stronger through their flexibility. In that moment, a truth as old as creation itself awakened within her. The divine force moves in eternal patterns of change, and true power lies in flowing with this sacred motion rather than resisting it. You too may recognize how the universe speaks through continuous transformation. Every breath you take participates in this cosmic dance, the inhalation different from the last, each moment offering a fresh invitation to merge with life's flowing nature. When you embrace this truth, fear of change dissolves into wonder at the infinite possibilities unfolding before you. Sterling discovered this wisdom while tending his merchant stalls in the market square. Rather than clutching firmly to his plans when the wind scattered his goods, he smiled and rearranged his display with each gust. Soon customers were drawn to his peaceful presence amid chaos, and his prosperity grew not despite disruption, but because of his harmonious response to it. The universe teaches this principle through every leaf that turns with the breeze, every cloud that shapes itself to the wind. Rigidity breaks under pressure, while flexibility allows strength to flow unimpeded. This is not mere survival strategy, but divine alignment. For the Creator's nature is one of infinite adaptability, expressing itself through endless forms and constant renewal. When you resist change, you stand against the very force that breathes life into existence. Yet when you move in rhythm with transformation, you discover that stability emerges not from unchanging circumstances, but from your ability to flow gracefully through all conditions. Like water taking the shape of any vessel while retaining its essential nature, your consciousness can remain clear and peaceful while adapting to life's ever-shifting landscape. Practice. Find a quiet space where you can move freely. Close your eyes and imagine yourself as a graceful reed by the riverside. As thoughts or sensations arise, sway gently with them rather than bracing against their arrival. Let your body respond naturally, as if each change is inviting you to join an elegant dance. Continue until you feel your resistance dissolving into fluid acceptance of each moment's offering. As you move through your days, return to this sensation of gentle responsiveness whenever change appears at your door. Part 5. The Eternal Resonance. The Thread of Unity. In a small mountain village, Kai spent his days tending to those who struggled. At first, he approached their pain from a distance, seeing only their misfortunes and feeling sorry for their circumstances. Yet, as seasons passed, something within him shifted. A veil lifted from his eyes. He began to recognize that the suffering he witnessed was not separate from his own heart's journey. In that recognition, true healing began to flow. You stand at this same threshold of understanding. The wisdom of ages whispers that compassion differs from pity as sunlight differs from shadow. When you pity another, you remain apart, looking down from a height of presumed superiority. But when compassion awakens, the illusion of separation dissolves. You recognize yourself in every face, every story, every struggle. This truth runs like a golden thread through the tapestry of existence. Your heart beats in perfect rhythm with all others, each pulse a reminder of your fundamental unity with life itself. The universe operates not through division, but through wholeness. And your awareness of this truth activates healing frequencies that ripple outward through the fabric of reality. Yet this journey begins within. Before you can truly extend compassion to others, you must first embrace your own heart with tender understanding. Your perceived flaws, your struggles, your moments of doubt. These are not barriers to overcome, but gateways to deeper wisdom. As you learn to hold your own experiences with gentle acceptance, your capacity to embrace others expands naturally. Haven discovered this truth through the simple act of listening. When others spoke of their troubles, he resisted the urge to correct or advise. Instead, he offered the gift of his complete presence, creating a space where healing could unfold on its own. Through this practice, he witnessed how both hearts, listener and speaker, would rise together, lifted by the invisible wings of shared understanding. The power of compassion lies not in fixing or changing others, but in recognizing the divine spark that burns equally in all hearts. When you truly see this, judgment falls away like autumn leaves, revealing the eternal spring of unity beneath. Your role is not to rescue others from their path, but to walk beside them with an open heart, knowing that each step taken together elevates the whole. Practice. Sit quietly and bring awareness to your own heart. Begin by extending compassion to yourself, embracing all aspects of your being with unconditional acceptance. Feel this warmth expanding naturally outward, touching those closest to you, then reaching further to encompass all beings. Notice how boundaries begin to soften and dissolve in the light of this universal love. Let this practice continue until you sense the truth that all hearts beat as one. The Vision Chamber. In a remote monastery garden, Echo discovered a hidden meditation chamber. Within its sacred walls, she observed gossamer images floating like delicate silk in still air, visions of what was yet to be. Through patient observation, she learned that these ethereal pictures preceded physical manifestation, much as lightning precedes thunder. You too possess such an inner sanctum, a sacred space where reality first takes shape before emerging into the visible world. This chamber lies not in stone and mortar, but in the vast cathedral of your consciousness. Here, in this hallowed space, your thoughts weave the tapestry of tomorrow. The universe operates through a divine sequence, first in mind, then in matter. Your imagination is not mere fantasy, but rather the womb where physical experience gestates. When you enter this inner chamber with reverence, treating each vision as sacred potential, you participate in the primary act of creation. Quest understood this profound truth. When his friend fell ill, he retreated daily to his inner sanctuary. There, with unwavering focus, he held a crystal-clear image of vibrant health. He saw color returning to pale cheeks, strength flowing through weakened limbs, and vitality sparking in dim eyes. He maintained this vision with the patience of a guardian keeping vigil. Days turned to weeks, and gradually the physical body began mirroring the template he held in mind. This is not wishful thinking, but rather the operation of cosmic law. When you enter your inner chamber with awareness, you step into the workshop where reality is sculpted. Here, the boundaries between thought and form dissolve. Your focused attention becomes the chisel that shapes circumstance. The key lies in approaching this practice with reverence. Treat each visualization as a sacred act of co-creation with the divine. Your inner sight, when properly aligned, becomes one with the vision of the infinite. Through this unified seeing, possibility transforms into probability, and probability into manifestation. Remember, the physical world responds not to desperate pleading, but to unwavering vision. When you hold an image with steady devotion in your inner chamber, you create a magnetic field that draws corresponding circumstances into being. Like a master artist who sees the finished masterpiece while facing a blank canvas, you must cultivate the ability to perceive completion before its physical appearance. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, imagining yourself entering your inner sanctuary. Here, in this sacred chamber, visualize your desired outcome with crystalline clarity. Observe every detail, every nuance, as if watching a living photograph. Feel the reality of your vision, not as a distant hope, but as an existing truth awaiting physical expression. Hold this image until you sense its inevitability in your very cells. Let your entire being resonate with the certainty of its manifestation. Practice this daily, treating each session as a sacred appointment with the creative force of the universe. The circular return. In the quiet mountains where ancient paths wind through mist-covered peaks, Nova walked the same trail each dawn. As seasons turned, she noticed how the circular route always brought her back to where she began, yet with renewed vision. Each return revealed layers of meaning previously unseen, as if the path itself was a teacher, sharing its wisdom through repetition. The greatest truth lies in this eternal circulation. All paths of seeking ultimately lead to the same divine center. Like countless streams flowing toward one vast ocean, every spiritual journey guides the soul back to its source. This is the profound simplicity that eludes so many seekers. The destination has always been the starting point. When you embark on the path of awakening, you may imagine yourself moving forward in a straight line towards some distant goal. Yet the deeper wisdom reveals that spiritual progress moves in circles, each cycle bringing you closer to the truth that has always resided within. This is not mere repetition, but spiral evolution, returning again and again to fundamental principles with expanded understanding. Meridian's journey exemplifies this truth. He traveled across continents seeking wisdom from masters and mystics, only to discover that each teaching pointed him back to himself. In a moment of perfect clarity, he realized that what he sought in far temples and sacred sites had been waiting patiently in his own heart. His greatest revelation was not found in exotic wisdom, but in recognizing himself as both seeker and sought. The universe operates through this principle of eternal return. Each breath completes a circle, giving and receiving. Each thought ripples outward only to echo back. Each act of love creates a resonance that returns multiplied. This is not a closing of possibilities, but an opening to infinite potential within the perfect circle of being. You need not journey far to find what you seek. The divine center is not a distant point, but the still axis around which all experience turns. Every step you take, whether forward or backward, leads to this unchanging core. Your daily life, with all its seeming mundane moments, is the sacred path chosen by eternity for your awakening. Sacred practice begin each morning by acknowledging that you stand at the center of a sacred circle. As you move through your day, recognize that every experience, from the simplest task to the most challenging encounter, is guiding you back to this essential truth. Welcome each moment as a teacher, knowing that in its perfect design lies the path of return. Let your breath become a reminder that all movement leads back to stillness, all seeking leads back to being, all wisdom leads back to the heart's own knowing. The completion that renews. In the rare moment when both sun and moon shared the vast canvas of sky, Solstice uncovered a truth that had eluded humanity's grasp. Standing beneath this celestial dance, she witnessed how these ancient lights never truly bid farewell. but rather transformed their presence in an eternal waltz of becoming. Each phase of the moon, each setting of the sun revealed itself not as an ending, but as a doorway into renewed expression. Through this cosmic choreography, the universe whispered its most sacred teaching. Completion is not a final destination, but a point of perpetual transformation. Within the infinite spiral of existence, nothing truly concludes. What appears as an ending simply marks the threshold of a new beginning. Your consciousness expands with each turn of this eternal wheel, gathering wisdom that deepens your understanding of life's continuous unfoldment. This truth manifests in every breath you draw, each exhalation seamlessly flowing into the next inhalation, forming an unbroken circle of life force. It shows itself in the seasons, where winter's rest nurtures spring's awakening. Even in the smallest seed lies the promise of fruit, which in turn carries new seeds, extending nature's endless chain of renewal. Harvest discovered this wisdom while tending his garden. Year after year, he witnessed how the final harvest of autumn held within it the first stirrings of next year's abundance. As he stood amidst his flourishing plants, a smile of recognition crossed his face. In this endless cycle of growth and return, he saw the perfect paradox of existence. Every ending carried within it the seeds of beginning. Every completion opened the door to fresh creation. Your journey through life mirrors this eternal pattern. Each achievement you reach does not mark a final destination, but rather opens your awareness to new horizons of possibility. When you align with this truth, you recognize that perfection is not a static state to be achieved, but a dynamic process of continuous renewal. The ancient practice. As the sun sets each day, stand in quiet reverence. Acknowledge each completion in your life, whether of a task, a relationship, or a chapter of experience, as a sacred point of renewal. Breathe in the understanding that nothing truly ends, but rather transforms into new expression. Welcome each conclusion with the same joy you would greet a beginning, knowing that the circle honors itself through your conscious participation in its endless dance. Conclusion. At the 64th degree, you now stand at the threshold of ultimate recognition. Here, where seeking dissolves and knowing crystallizes, the veil between student and master evaporates into pure awareness. This is not an achievement, but an awakening to what has always been. The journey that seemed to lead outward has guided you back to your own divine center. Each teaching, each practice, each moment of contemplation served not to elevate you, but to remind you of your natural state. Like a bird that forgot it could fly, you now remember your wings were never lost. Within this remembrance, the law of attraction reveals itself not as external force, but as your very essence. You are not working with universal law. You are its living expression. Every thought, feeling, and breath flows from and returns to the infinite source that you are. Gratitude no longer requires effort or practice. It becomes your natural respiration, the rhythm of your being. Prayer transforms from petition to communion, a silent song of recognition between self and source. The mysteries that once seemed complex now shine with elegant simplicity. From this sanctuary of self-knowledge, you move through life as both artist and artwork. Reality responds not to your demands, but to your resonance. The universe mirrors your inner harmony, not because you have mastered its laws, but because you have remembered your role as co-creator. This awareness brings profound peace, the serenity of knowing that you need not reach for what you already are. The eternal dance of manifestation flows through you with graceful inevitability. In this recognition, all teachings fulfill their purpose, dissolving into the silence from which they emerged. You now rest in the profound simplicity of being, the point where seeker and sought unite in endless light. Your life will never be the same. And here's what most people don't realize about this shift. Once you recognize yourself as the source rather than the seeker, the entire game changes. In my next transmission, when you stop needing, you start to attract. I reveal exactly what happens when you release the hunger signal that's been blocking your manifestations. You'll discover why needing actually repels what you desire, and how to shift into the frequency where attraction becomes effortless and inevitable.